else you can ever do, unless you're big into scooping honey out of a tiny jar. But other than that, it's a unique experience. I wasn't listening a lot to Mikey, I was focusing super hard. I've never demoed in front of people before, so I was like really working hard. So if I repeat something, sorry, but let's see what this does. This might be new information, or might be something he already said, but that furnace sits at about 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. That glass is the consistency of honey, like I mentioned earlier, but it rapidly cools down. So you'll see Mikey running back and forth between the bench and the furnace a lot. It's also our reheating chamber, so that we get that glass back up to a consistency we can work with. He's rolling that gather on a little slab of steel there. That's called the marver. It used to be marble slabs, so marble to marver. Now we can roll the glass on that. It sucks the heat out pretty quick, but it's also a really good way to shape it up and do what we need to do. You'll notice he's got a bubble in there. That's what he was doing with his thumb. Back there he blew in and capped it, and that pressurized air pushed out through the glass. And so we have a little bubble, and now we can turn that little bubble into a whole number of different things.
I'm not going to tell you.
Today, Mikey's making
It's
that
going to be a surprise.
secret.
You can guess along the way. It'll be great fun. You hear that? Even Avery.
Yeah, even Avery told him. Right now, Mikey is waiting for that glass to cool down, so it'll be pretty much solid by the time he goes back to take another gather. Every time we gather on glass again, we gather exponentially more glass because of the surface area. So he's going to take another gather, and it's going to be quite a bit larger than his first one, and he'll work that glass up into whatever it is he's got in his mind today. If you've got any questions at any point, please just go ahead and raise your hand and I will point at you. We'll have a small conversation and I'll answer it up for you. I'm easier to stump than these guys, but we can figure it out.
Stump the glass blowers collective.
Yeah, it's all three of our combined knowledges. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna come over to you. How many types of glass are there? A couple, more than I know about, but whole bunch. There's
6 main categories.
Is that true? Are there really 6 main? I don't know them, but maybe Mikey does. There's this glass here. This is soft, soft glass.
Soda
lime glass. I knew that. It's because its ingredients involve soda ash and lime and a number of other things. And then there's various other glasses for all kinds of different purposes. There's borosilicate glass, which requires a lot higher temperature to melt up. That's in all kinds of stuff. Glass on your phone is a different kind of glass. I'm sorry, you've got me really good with this one, but there are a number of different types of glass. We use this one here. It's got a certain melting point. And then it's also got a certain, what's called a coefficient of expansion. So the rate at which it expands is important, and it's why we can't use multiple types of glass together very easily, because they expand at different rates, and things get funky. So, soda lime glass. Never, no. But good guess. A lot of people do say that the glass looks tasty, that they want to take a bite of it. I don't understand that myself, to be honest with you, but I suppose I get it. Teach their own. Mikey just made a constriction in that bubble. So for a while it was a big bubble, and then he put a line in there with his jack. So that's the tool he was using. It look like big tongs. And that's the point where it can break off of the blowpipe. Eventually we'll have to get inside of there, into the bubble. So we'll put it onto what's called a punty, which are these long solid steels here. The blowpipes are steel tubes, so they're hollow in the middle so we can blow air into them, but they're not the best for working on the other side of the equation. So it's blowing more air through there. You can watch that glass expand and grow, which is one of the most interesting parts to me. That spin, he's using the centrifugal force of the glass to lengthen things out, gives him some more space. Mikey, how much did you talk about yourself?
How much did I talk about myself?
Yeah, can I tell him about you?
No.
Well, this is Michael Beam. He rocks. This guy's great. He's a senior at Hastings College. He's just hanging up his senior thesis this weekend, and it's super cool. It's about boats and stuff. You can ask him more about that later. But
That's about it.
yeah, boats and stuff. He is very well educated in glass. He spent many summers and non-summers at the Corning Museum of Glass up in Corning, New York. It's the world's largest museum of glass, and it's the spot to be if you want to learn about glass. So Mikey spent some summers up there, a lot of summers up there. But Mikey Beam has also blown glass on a cruise ship. Check that out, a cruise ship. There was a hot shop on the top deck or whatever it was, I don't know, of a cruise ship. I can say whatever, he can't correct me. And Mikey got to blow glass up there for, I think, 9 total months, something like that, which is just a dream come true for any glass blower. So. That tool he was just using looks a lot like tweezers, and that's because they are. They're just big metal tweezers made of a steel that can withstand that heat. I don't know, tool steel, something like that. Grabbing the glass, pulling it out, making some points for whatever his secret is. I guess we'll see. One of the curious things about glass that makes it such an interesting medium, I think, is that you can't just knock it off the blowpipe and then take it home that next hour. It needs to go through a process called annealing. So we have them in these big boxes. They're kind of like super hot ovens. They sit at like 890 degrees for a while, which is right about that line where glass will start to break if it gets colder than that. As the glass cools naturally, it gains a lot of these weird tension points. And so instead of cooling and stacking up all really nice, it'll get all jangly and weird, and then it'll crack and is really apt to kind of explode. So you'll see sometimes we put our pipes in that bucket over there, and sometimes you'll see glass just explode out of there. It's why we wear safety goggles, not so much because we're worried about something at the bench hitting us in the face, but just the exploding glass popping up into eyes and occasionally down pant legs and socks and stuff like that.
That sounds nice.
But when we put it through the annealer, it'll hang out at that 890 degree spot for a while, and then it will slowly pull itself down over 12 to 16 hours to the point where the glass comes out and it can actually be used and isn't dangerous. So we're going to throw what I was talking about earlier. It's called a punty. There's the punty rod, which is essentially that long solid piece of steel, and then we'll gather a little bit of glass on the end. That's what Brian is doing right now, gathering just a little pea-sized, a skosh of glass. He's going to push that forward, shape it up, so where it's got like a kind of a cone thing going on up top, and that's a really nice shape to attach to the bottom of a piece, but it also can come off really easily. That's the other side. You want it to attach, but if it attaches too hot, it can fuse together, and then you've got a mess trying to get it off. If you're too cold, then we're apt to just break it off as we're working with it, which is a shame, and happens a lot. But these two are pros, experts. Attaching that punty now. essentially he'll break it off the blowpipe, and Brian will quickly run up and go stick it in the furnace here so that it can stay hot. Use a little water to help that constriction along. Sometimes you don't have to, it's super tight. On these bigger pieces, it's good to add a little drop of water in there. It makes it come off really clean and easy. Yeah, a bunch of professionals. Are there any other questions I can take while we're hanging out? Anything? No, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this week, sorry to walk in front of the camera here. I'll pass a few of these around. Oh. Here, take a look at that. Just pass around. And one to you. So this is what we call frit. This is essentially, I'll put one over here. This is essentially crushed glass that's colored. We can get color in glass by adding metal oxides to it. So I think blue involves cobalt, green is some kind of copper. I think red, gold, and pink, or sorry, red, pink, and purple, they involve some amount of gold, so they're a little more expensive. But this colored glass is crushed down, and then we can pick it up on a really hot bubble, and then we can melt it down like cheese on a pizza, and it becomes kind of like, I don't know the word, it's not synonymous, but it gets in there. It becomes kind of the same thing. So it melts down into that clear glass and becomes a cohesive unit. There it is. But there's all kinds of colors. Any color you can think of, you can probably put it in glass. So there are two main companies we order our glass from. One in Germany, one in New Zealand. There's Reichenbach and I forget the exact brand of it. Gaffer glass, yeah. Mikey just used straight shears. They're essentially big metal scissors. You wouldn't think a glass is something you can cut through super easily, but when it's hot, it's different than the glass in your window pane. So you can slice through it like butter, which he did. You can kind of get a sense of what Mikey's making here. I'm still not going to tell you, but it looks similar to something you might have seen before. There's all kinds of glass blowing a person can do. You can make vessels like cups and bowls and vases and things. You can do some sculptural work like Mikey's doing here, making his surprise. You can combine the two in really interesting ways. An object that is both vessel and sculpture. That tool in his hands now, those are called the diamond shears. They are quite a bit like scissors. They're just shaped in like a square pattern that allows us to cut things off in a different way than straight shears might. It's looking pretty good there, Mikey. You ready to tell everybody what you've made?
Yes.
Yeah? You guessed horse. You guessed wrong. Mikey has made a really nice shell today. A little knots. Great. I'll take those back. Let's get a round of applause for Mikey for just nailing it. Good work. One more thing around here somewhere.
It's over here.
It's over there. Sweet. I'll take it. Thank you. We don't have an annealer with us today that functions very well. We'd have to come down over 14 hours, and we're just not going to be connected to power that long. So we're tapping everything off in this tray, and you'll get to see it actually pop and explode as we move along. Made that look super easy. I've been struggling with this furnace a little bit. It's definitely a new experience than blowing inside, but it's not totally outrageously different in a lot of ways.
So should we just let it break on its own, or should we break it?
Oh, I think we should break it. We should break it. It's way more fun.
Break it, break it.
Can I hold my cup over there? It's a good cup, thanks. Yeah, all right. Mikey's gonna drop some water on it, which will make it break real fast. Again, even when the glass is not straight up liquid in that furnace there, it's very hot. It's upwards of 1,000 degrees. A little bit less now that it's been covered in water, but it's super hot, so don't touch it, obviously. You can see that water kind of boiling there, I think is what it was doing, because it's that hot. It just immediately gets at the temp. Eventually it should just kind of crumble, pop apart, do something cool.
So I'll add a little more water on here, but see all that white surface, basically, those are all just a bunch of little tiny cracks. So all those little tiny cracks obviously make it super weak. So when I poke at it, it'll just kind of crumble apart.
It should just fall apart there, full of cracks. There we go. Let's get one more round of applause for Mikey Beam, champion, hero, man of the red.